The township of Parsippany Troy Hills and its police force have changed a lot since an ordinance to establish, maintain, regulate, and control a police department was first passed on January 22, 1931. With its flat land and fertile soil, in those days Parsippany was still largely a farming community. After its incorporation, the police department was headed by its first police chief, William Callahan. The second in command on the two-man force was Special Officer Leo D'Orsi. The two men policed the township in the days when North Beverwick Road in Lake Hiawatha was an unpaved road, Lakeshore Drive in Lake Hiawatha actually led to a lake, and Route 46 was Route 6, a single-lane roadway. In 1934, Lake Hiawatha and Lake Parsippany were popular vacation spots. While the department was still a two-man force, it added Merrick Mac Town, William Case, Fred Lynch, and Charles C.J. Wagner as special officers. The department had only 2 patrol cars and no radios, so a lone patrolman who needed help had to awaken neighbors to phone headquarters. Chief Callahan had never completely recovered from abdominal operations in 1936. In May of 1937, he was on duty and went home for lunch where he suffered an untimely death at only 35 years old. After Chief Callahan's death, Officer Leo D'Orsi was selected to take over and become the township's second chief of police. According to the police department's original rules and regulations, first adopted in 1957, in order to be eligible for appointment as a Parsippany police officer, candidates had to be citizens of the United States, a resident of Parsippany Troy Hills for a minimum of 2 years before his appointment, of good moral character, at least 5 feet 8 inches in height and not less than 140 pounds in weight, and sound in body and mind as evidenced by a thorough medical examination. Under Chief D'Orsi's command, the police department was 29 strong in 1965, growing to 51 by 1967, and increasing to a 62-man department, the largest in Morris County. Parsippany was the first municipal police force in Morris County to have a full-time narcotics squad and juvenile section. In 1965, Patrolman H.J. Tommy Gilmore was assigned to the Detective Bureau as a narcotics officer. The appointment made Gilmore the 4th member of the DB and the first narcotics officer in any Morris County municipality. Elwood Ellie Fox was appointed the department's 3rd chief of police in 1971. Under Chief Fox, the department would continue to grow from 62 officers to 111 and also added specialized units such as K-9 and an emergency response team. Following Chief Fox's retirement in 1988, Michael Filippello was named the 4th chief of police. Under Chief Filippello's direction, the department also moved into its new state-of-the-art headquarters in November of 2004. Chief Filippello retired in July 2006, and Deputy Chief Michael Peckerman was named the department's 5th chief of police. Upon Chief Peckerman's retirement in late 2011, Deputy Chief Anthony DiZenzo became Parsippany's 6th chief of police. The Patrol Division is the agency's largest division and its backbone. It is primarily staffed by uniformed officers who conduct the patrol function in marked police vehicles. They engage in a wide range of services, including, of course, patrol, as well as crime prevention, arresting offenders, and responding to emergency medical situations, conducting traffic control and direction, to name just a few. This division is commanded by a captain and divided into 4 sections. Each section has a lieutenant and 3 sergeants. Patrol officers are placed under the direct control of a sergeant and are allocated based upon workload and the needs of the community. All patrol vehicles are equipped with fire extinguishers, flares, emergency rope, first aid kits, defibrillators, emergency blankets, pry bars, and a lockout tool. In addition to the department-issued firearm, officers carry shotguns in their vehicles, and a team of officers also carry assault rifles. Within the Patrol Division is the Traffic Section, headed by a sergeant with 3 patrol officers. The main goal of the Traffic Enforcement Section is to help reduce the number of motor vehicle and pedestrian accidents and make the township's roadways safer. Many traffic-related complaints are handled directly by these officers who monitor potential problem areas by utilizing radar and issue summonses for violations of the vehicle and traffic laws of the state of New Jersey. High visibility and saturation patrols are conducted to address other serious traffic offenses. The Click It or Ticket campaign ensures that drivers and passengers recognize the life-saving value of seat belts, and over the limit under arrest is a drunk driving enforcement crackdown. The Investigative Division, or Detective Bureau, is comprised of two sections, an adult section and a youth services section. A detective captain leads the division with 1 lieutenant, 3 sergeants, and several patrol officers classified as detectives. The detectives conduct interviews of victims, witnesses, and suspects of crime. Other duties include taking statements, seeking witnesses, and taking charge of crime scenes when called to investigate and collect evidence. The Youth Services section is staffed by a sergeant and 2 detectives and is supported by a civilian youth counselor. A school resource officer also falls under the command of the Youth Services section.
Fire dispatch, Fire District 6, response 212, Glenbrook Road, house fire.
911, where's your emergency?
Communications, or the desk, handles all 911 and non-emergency calls for the citizens and visitors of Parsippany 24 hours a day, every single day. The full and part-time telecommunicators, or dispatchers, along with desk officers, handle in excess of 100,000 calls per year via 911 and 10-digit non-emergency lines. 911 calls for police, fire, and emergency medical services are evaluated, assigned, and prioritized for its level of emergency response. Communications utilizes state-of-the-art radio and telephone equipment to ensure public safety as well as the safety of the officers protecting the township. The 800 MHz radio system is combined with a computer-aided dispatch module that corresponds with mobile computer terminals in each patrol car. It has the capability to talk via radio to all emergency personnel, township departments, and other police agencies statewide. In 2011, your Parsippany Police Department responded to approximately 30,000 calls for service. The Support Services Division is commanded by a captain and supported by several officers and civilian personnel. It is responsible for the maintenance and control of all documents and computer files generated by the other divisions. Support Services also logs and tracks all items found or seized within the township to include anything from bicycles to drugs, and also handles fingerprinting for all required services within the township. Civilian personnel support this division as secretaries, clerks, garage mechanics, and maintenance personnel. Support Services also oversees the township's Animal Control Office and its officers. The Professional Standards Division is commanded by a lieutenant who also oversees the Planning and Research section and is charged with the immediate and long-range planning of the department. The objectives for the division are to offset the uncertainty of change, focus attention on economical operation, training, goals, and objectives. The officers in this section recommend contingency plans for any anticipated hazard, problem, or disaster. They also maintain community contacts to assist the department in the delivery of services to the citizens and ensure that all officers are fully trained with regard to any and all possible situations that may arise out of everyday encounters with the public. Community relations is a priority for the entire department, and trained crime prevention officers are available to speak at civic meetings and at businesses on topics ranging from home, child, and personal safety, senior citizen safety, internet safety and identity theft, and workplace violence. A state-of-the-art facility became home to Parsippany Police in November 2004. At nearly 33,000 square feet, the building offers more space, privacy, and ease of movement than the former building, which served as headquarters for 22 years. Among its features are 2 private interview rooms for distraction-free interviewing of witnesses and suspects. Another private room is dedicated for members of the Domestic Violence Crisis Response Team, a volunteer organization where team members can speak with victims of domestic violence in a comfortable setting. This was the first of its kind in Morris County. Evidence and storage lockers are in varying sizes, and some are refrigerated for perishable evidence items. They directly access the office of the Property and Evidence Officer to ensure chain of custody. The department's state-of-the-art cell block is New Jersey Department of Corrections approved and is video and audio monitored. A 4th cell is generally utilized for female offenders and is separated from the cell block. In addition, there is a larger holding cell and a DWI processing room. The police Sally Port is a garage that is controlled from the communications area and allows for prisoners to enter and exit the police vehicle in a secured area. Parsippany Sally Port accommodates 2 police cars and has 2 bay doors allowing for drive-through capability. Parsippany Parsippany's officers are a highly skilled team. All officers receive semi-annual training in vehicle pursuits and use of force and are required to qualify with the department firearm and shotgun with a proficiency requirement of 80% accuracy. Specialized training includes, but is not limited to, motor vehicle crash investigators and accident reconstructionists, radar operators, alcotest operators for the processing of DWI arrests, Black Bear officers who are trained to use a system of adverse conditioning and coercion to remove a bear from a populated area, and crime prevention officers.
Training mode. Call for help. Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient. Shock advised. Charging. Stand clear.
Many of our officers are also EMTs and serve as instructors in first aid and CPR. Some officers are certified firearms and assault rifle instructors.
You're bringing the gun more up to your head instead of your head down to the gun, and you should be squared off to the target.
Close quarters combat. Again, it's being able to drive the gun from one threat to another. All right. Again, we take a proactive mindset, not a reactive one. Boom, boom, engage. Identify threat. Neutralize. Identify, neutralize. Good! Contact!
Santa Claus!
Contact!
A team of officers also serves on the Morris County Rapid Deployment Team. The department also has arson investigators, and the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program, DARE, is taught by trained officers to the 5th grade classes in each of the township's 8 grammar schools and 1 parochial school. The men and women who chose to serve at the Parsippany Police Department also choose service in different ways. Many officers are military veterans, and in 2008, 21 Parsippany officers received Distinguished Military Service Medals. Officers traveled to New Orleans to aid in the Hurricane Katrina relief effort, dedicated their time at the World Trade Center in the aftermath of 9/11, participate in the torch run and plane pull to benefit the Special Olympics, and box in charity events to raise money for families of fallen officers and firefighters. Since 2007, Team Parsippany has participated in the Police Unity Tour, riding bicycles approximately 320 miles to Washington, D.C. to raise money for the families of fallen officers. First adopted in 1957, the Parsippany Police Department's original rules and regulations reads, "When you accepted an appointment to the Parsippany Troy Hills Police Department, you assumed a great responsibility. You have not been appointed to just a job, but rather to a position of trust. The preservation of peace, the absence of crime, and the protection of life and property are the proofs necessary to show that you have been faithful to your trust. In the pursuit of your calling, learn to know the citizens in the township, whether residents or businessmen. Protect them and their property. Aid them whenever consistent with your duties by your courtesy, fairness, and straightforward manner. Endeavor to obtain and merit the cooperation of all good citizens. Listen to those in distress, and when possible, give advice or assistance to those in need of it. No matter how humble the person who approaches you, he has the right to be heard. Your attention and kindness may do great good while costing you nothing. Be active but courteous. Endeavor to obtain cooperation, not antagonism. Remember that you are a sworn officer of the law and a servant of all the public. Therefore, in the discharge of your duties, do not let politics, color, race, religion, or fraternalism influence your actions. Let it be clearly understood that you will be judged, treated, and respected not by the amount of influence that you may bring to bear, but by the maximum service you render in accordance with your oath of office. Parsippany is the largest township in Morris County with a diverse population of over 53,000 residents and a daytime population that swells to over 150,000. In its 80-plus year history, the police department has grown and changed to meet the needs of the citizenry it serves, but tradition holds fast, and the rules and regulations adopted for a police department decades ago are just as relevant today. Service, protection, professionalism, partnerships. Parsippany continues to be served by the men and women of the Parsippany Troy Hills Police Department in the proud tradition that was established in 1931.